I was looking at EU to buy because I saw some nice bullish momentum and some nice candles that with clean closes. But now with this move, it's kind of destroyed my whole trade setup. So right now on EU, I'm waiting for a bit more. This red candle is just showing me that we are kind of stuck in this range on the 1 hour chart, and I'm seeing some indecisiveness. So for EJ, we're just stuck in this flat range, so just waiting for a breakout of this level or this level. AU, also for me, stuck in this range, just kind of descending into an ascending. So nothing is really catching my eye. AJ, same as EJ, stuck in a flat range on the 1 hour chart. The pound has some potential, so I am seeing this large bearish momentum right here, and I was looking to get in on a short, just a sec, on a short in this flag formation, but for me, I just saw too much buying pressure in these two blue candles. But again, this overall bearish momentum can continue, so I am seeing if this will probably push to the downside. Then I will be looking to sell. And the last one is NJ, which is like the rest of my Japanese pairs, is just stuck in this flat range. So just seeing what will happen out of it. So this week has been pretty slow, pretty range bound for me personally, corrective. And yeah, I'm just waiting for a bit more. I have seen some news has just come out with this one huge bearish candle. So this might push the markets in one direction. And then I would be, of course, looking to buy or sell depending on what happens.
Yeah, and Marco, just to ask you to follow up on that, with these big news candles like this, do you wait for the dust to settle? Do you ever trade on a candle like this? You know, just how would you respond to a big candle move like that?
Yeah, so it all depends. There are different types of news candles. There are huge indecision news candles. Let's see if I can find one just now. So, for example, let me just try to find one.
What's up?
Dude, what happened to you?
Haven't you heard? It's the summer half-off discount sale.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
Right now only, get half off any of our VIP Discord memberships. These memberships include access to our signals, where you can get entries and exits from Frank and I, and full breakdown and analysis with each trade. You can learn our strategies in detail. You can learn how to get funded with our training material to help traders looking for funding. And you can also join the chat room community. We have several membership opportunities, so click the link and check them out for yourself. And remember, you get half off if you either message us or use the discount code you see on the screen now.
There isn't one that is like crazy with huge wicks up or huge wicks down. This would maybe be one. This red one that has a large wick to the upside and a large wick to a downside. So after that one, I usually wait for the dust to settle. But if I get a news candle that shows me a clean close and actually picks a direction as it's looking right now, you can see almost no wick. Then usually what I found, it does continue with the momentum, and if I get in on a sell, usually the trade works out. So it all depends on how the news candle forms. If it forms with a large wick up, large wick down, or if it forms with a clean close, that means probably that the direction has been picked. So that's kind of how I view it on the large sample size.
And it also kind of makes sense just to speak briefly on the you know, I guess economic impact of some of these numbers. If you get a candle that closes at the extremities of where it's been trading, what that might also hint is that the news was so market moving that it was able to maintain all of its gains. And again, sometimes those moves can be prolonged for periods of time. You know, you have to think, if you're a fund manager that has $1 billion or $2 billion under management, like a ginormous fund, and something changes and you decide, well, I'm not really wanting to be long euros for my clients anymore, you might be sharing, you know, of course, somebody on our scale, day traders, swing traders, short-term traders, we can pick up on the fact that this guy who may have, you know, just had a ginormous order come across his board to sell a massive amount of euros against the dollar, you know, he might need to fill that out all day. And you and I and Miko, all three of us, we could take advantage of that. So just a good point there in terms of the news and how it could be moving. Marco, I'm sorry, Miko, what about you? Are you looking at any dollar pairs today? What's anything on your watch list? I know you were trading dollar Swiss last week. Are you still involved in that at all?
Yeah, it's funny you ask. Yeah, I'm still in that position. That one's just been moving sideways. on me. It's actually 2 weeks today. I've been in this position. Dollar Swiss is still moving sideways. I have taken some partials, but it's just one of those trades because I have finite TPs and where I put my stop loss. So I kind of let the market do its thing and take some partials on the way. So in this case scenario, the market just continuing to consolidate. So it's either going to break to the upside and tag me out, break even up here, or going to break to the downside. So I'm just personally waiting to see what happens with dollar Swiss. The overall analysis is still short bias for dollar Swiss on the higher time frame. So 4H, I'm just trying to take advantage of those lower highs, which is where I got involved. But since then, yeah, that momentum, that bearish momentum has depleted. Really nice move to the downside, but it's moving sideways. So I'm just going to monitor that position, see what happens. There are some other dollar pairs that do look good though. NZD USD, really nice move to the downside this week. I'm looking to see if we can continue that momentum further. Long term, I'm looking at the high time frames, particularly the weekly time frame, and especially for NZD USD and AUD, it looks like both of them could be heading back down to these lows near enough the prior COVID lows from 3 years ago. So we could be looking at price coming back down here, which could mean a lot of downside for NZD USD. Obviously, fundamentally, we need to see some dollar strength for that to that come into fruition. But from a technical aspect, this looks very likely that we could be coming down to these lows. So I'm personally, for the next foreseeable future, unless something drastically changes, just looking for pullbacks. Caught this here to the downside on Tuesday, I think, and then I'm now looking to see if we can get into another one on the next pullback, maybe into this area. And I'm also keeping an eye on Euro USD. Market was saying it's looking a little bit choppy, and I say the same as well for the 4H as well, kind of creating higher highs and lower lows and lower highs. So it's kind of all over the place. But if we do see a push taking out this low here, now we've got some lower highs and some lower lows to deal with. I'll be looking at some pullbacks and shorts. So predominantly I'm looking at sells for Euro USD for dollar strength, but I've kind of got that dollar Swiss position from last week, which is opposite to that. So I'm just going to see how that plays out. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at.
And Mika, while you're on the stand here, gold just broke 1900, which is a impressive move. I know you've talked about gold bearishness in weeks past. Where are you at with gold? And I mean, what do you make of this ginormous move down here today?
Yeah, I mean, gold is looking very, very bearish. I mean, it's been a slow kind of grind with gold. It's been moving sideways, consolidating, but it has been some steady lower highs, very minute difference, but it's been very, very steady. And ever since it started cracking through 1940, that's when I become, bearish on gold. In this, I was kind of just neutral because it was sideways. But now we've cleared the 1940 support, and now we're still consistent getting these lower highs as well. So I'm bearish on gold. I was actually looking to trade gold this week, but it doesn't look like it's coming back up to the level. I was hoping this week we could push back to 1940, and I'll look for some shorts there. But gold seems to be a little bit too bearish for that. So I'm looking at the high time frames where particularly gold could probably head towards. I'm looking at this area here. This was a nice little level of resistance where the market broke through and pushed. With enormous momentum, maybe we could come back to 1860. But yeah, I'm bearish on gold. I'm just looking for pullbacks as to where we could go. I've got some areas of interest there, but yeah, for me, I predominantly work on the 4H, so I'm looking at some bigger pullbacks. I'm not too sure I'll see any until maybe next week. But as things stand, it looks like we've got more downside to be had.
Yeah, and it's I mean, quite the move. It's a really fundamentally clear move here today. Again, I was mentioning this just briefly before you guys got on. GDP numbers came out really strong here for the US, and we also saw filing for unemployment tick down, so from expectations. So some good news on the economic front, which of course sounds a little bit for the newbies and the new traders out there. It's like, well, why does that push gold down? Well, gold gets a bid, as we spoke about 15 minutes ago. Gold tends to get a bid when markets are very fearful about the ability of government to keep things in order, central banks to keep things in order, right? When there's fears that there could be inflation running rampant, or that the economy could go into a massive unemployment, gold actually does very well in that environment, as it's sort of this hedge to everything going on. But when everything starts to look good again, not that we're fully good again, but looking better, right? Economic output looking really strong. Again, that's a big downside push to gold. So very interesting move here this morning to pay attention to, both on the technical and fundamental front, I would say. So Marco, what about you? Any thoughts on gold? Lower time frame, we have a big move on the hourly chart. What are you looking at there on gold?
Sure, let me take a look. So on the 1 hour, definitely moving down. Something I don't like on this lower time frame is this descending structure. Usually, most pairs after you have a descending don't continue down much. So usually they do get some sort of a reaction to the upside. But again, that's not the rule. That's just on a larger sample size. But I like this one candle. It definitely has some strong momentum. It is, of course, a news candle. If it closes like this, I would expect further downside price action. So that's kind of a quick summary. Overall, definitely moving down, but for me, very corrective. The moves are not sustained. The trends are not like a drop, small pullback, a drop, small pullback. That's what I like to see. So just not for me, but I can see some sellers stepping in to the market. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And of course, one big mover here today as well is as you've got the screen there, Marco. What do you think about USDJPY? Because
Sure.
if I'm correct, yep, it should be moving up today because I know yields are moving up, and you know, there's a very strong correlation between the dollar yen and bond yields, which are trading up heavily today. How do you what do you take of this chart? Is this chart how strong is it? How weak is it? What are you thinking?
So how I would interpret this chart is, again, just an ascending channel on the overall larger scale. So barely breaking the highs, retracing. I'm talking about these major highs, printing wicks to the upside. So just some weakness. Again, this now may start pushing, but I need to see the next candle go up and show me some momentum that is as big as this one, I would say. So currently, I would expect this to reverse, to be honest. That's what the technicals are telling me. So I would expect a downtrend to happen, at least a small one. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing with the candles. It's definitely showing me this ascending channel, which I know in most cases reverses in the opposite direction, because the methodology is that the bigger players are just kind of pushing the markets up and taking out the stops. So I'm seeing that these areas are full of liquidity, full of stops from retail traders who are probably spotting the top or trying to find the top of a move. And each time, of course, they get stopped out and the bigger players fill up their sell positions. And in the end, the big players do push the markets down. That's when I try to get in.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. And Miko, earlier this week, I traded pound yen. I was able to catch a pretty good move there. Do you have any opinions on GJ real quick before you take screen? I picked it up right around here and I caught this move and I was feeling so good about it. This is a great example, however, of where I guess partials would have been a lot better, right? There's always the shoulda, woulda, coulda stuff when it comes to trading. But I actually entered around here on this big, huge move up. I did nothing with my trade except trail my stop to right here. So I suppose I did save myself from a bigger move lower, but I trailed out and I left a lot of profit on the table. I know that your style of trading in this case would have been, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, perhaps taking more partials along the way, which would have kept you from, I guess I still made money, so I shouldn't complain, but I certainly left like 2/3 of the profit on the table. If you could take a look at GJ for me, but also how would you have traded that situation had you been in it? If you were in that trade, how would you have taken partials on that?
Yeah. So let me just get to pound yen. So I was actually looking at pound yen coming into the week. I predominantly trade on the 4H and hourly time frame. So I was analyzing this for some of my audience, and I was saying that buys do look good on the lower time frames because the market still printing a bunch of high lows, and we know that pretty much the monthly, weekly, daily all displaying a lot of bullish momentum as well. So buys in these conditions, will be favorable. So it was a nice trade. But for me, I probably wouldn't have taken the trade because when I look to manage my trade in terms of partials, I like to take my first partial around 1.5R. So if I did enter around here, the most recent high is here. So if that's below around 1.5R, it technically would be invalid trade for me. I like to at least take profits at 1.5, and 1.5 would be past the high. So I run the risk of price going up, testing resistance, and coming back and taking me out for a loss because I wouldn't have moved my stop loss to break even yet either. So for me, I wanted to see a bit more distance just because pound yen is kind of trading into this uncharted territory. We haven't been in these prices for a very, very long time. So there's no kind of, target I'm kind of set out to trade towards. So I probably wouldn't take the trade from that aspect. But yeah, I do look to take partials along the way. So I normally take 1 or 2, depending how far I push the trade. But I normally take my partials around 1.5R. That's like a nice soft spot for me. And I move my stop loss to break even there as well. But in terms of the trade, I like it. A bunch of high lows here. This is the type of trade that I'll look to take as well, but just a little bit too close to the highs for me. But yeah, since now we broke into the downside, looks like pound yen might take a bit of a steeper retracement now. I still am pretty bullish in pound yen overall, so we might maybe have one more leg to the downside and retrace. But as long as we stay above this low here, back around 180, I still favor more upside for pound yen. But since we're breaking through some structure here, we might retrace a little bit further before we do push north.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.